So I want to touch a little bit on Wine Cellar, on what you guys do. You mentioned it a bit in the beginning, you're creating stories and vintages and holding them and having availability of older vintage items. Was there more to the company? What else do you guys dabble in?
So Wine Cellar is quite a fascinating company because it's grown organically. It's come from a need of a passionate wine person who started the company with another friend, and he wanted to bring Bordeaux wines into the country. Sold Bordeaux wines to his friends. Bordeaux wines, as we now established, Cabernet based, they need time to mature. So the second step after selling the wines, everybody went like, but I can't take another vintage and another vintage in because Bordeaux needs 10 years at least. So he chatted to his friend, said, okay, but I need a place to keep this for these customers, for them to drink it in 10 years' time. And they created a bit of a storage facility. So that's step 2. So then Wine Cellar was bringing in Bordeaux wines and was storing it for customers. A few years later, realized, but these customers have an appetite for other international wines. So a few more agencies were added to Wine Cellar. Old agencies like Vina Tondonia, Chapetia were the ones that joined us right in the beginning. 100% internationally focused, niche, top-end quality wines, can store it for customers. Fast forward a little bit, we added, obviously here and there people would want to sell some of the wines, so there's always a bit of a dabbling in brokerage. But circa, where is it, 2005, 2006, added quite a bit more international wines, actively sought out top-end agencies, added agencies like Chateaubriand, Comte Lafon, like really icon properties to the mix. And then 2010, 11, 12, Swartland Revolution started happening. Our clients were all international drinkers at that stage. At that stage, South African wines, white and red, that were starting to appeal to that kind of market as well. The wines were good enough, and obviously they offered incredible value. A South African Syrah versus a Saint Joseph or a Crow's Hermitage was just mind-blowing. So we started selling a little bit of international wine, local wines. Interestingly enough, Wine Cellar was the first company to sell Molyneux wines. I used to work at a company called Vineyard Connection, and the first one that Andrea, Molyneux and Chris sold was to me. At that stage was Tilbach Mountain Vineyards. We took in some of the first kind of Sardi allocations. We were the first to properly promote Porcelainberg. We were the first to sell a lot of those guides. We started the Young Guns program. So Wine Cellar was always innovative in terms of fine wine. That was followed up by launching our e-commerce site, so online retail in 2014. We then identified 2015 as a great vintage, launched an investment product, and subsequently we added kind of our interaction with Strauss fine wine auction as part of trying to develop the secondary market, all the while doing tasting and events to excite people. So it's a real kind of one-stop fine wine merchant space where we try and solve all the problems that fine wine consumers should be having. We don't dabble in the world of delivery and transport. That's a little bit of a stretch too far, but everything where fine wine needs someone's helping hand, Wine Cellar is involved with that. And we're based in the whole sense of excellence, and that fine wine is magic. You spoke about the romance, you spoke about how you fall in love with wine, and there are a lot of people in the world that can and do and will fall in love with wine, and we're there to help. It's as simple as that.
It's a wonderful company. I think you guys do an amazing job. And
thanks, Jeremy.
I think it's a testament to also what you guys have been doing by how long you've been involved with the wine industry. And you say you launched an e-commerce site in 2014. That's fairly innovative for the wine industry. I think that's a good stamp on what Wine Cellar's been doing. Do you think that the benchmark tastings that you're a part of and the wine shows and wine tasting events that you guys can host with Wine Cellar helps with the education factor of teaching people about older wines and why you should age?
They do and they don't, because that's not their sole purpose. Their sole purpose, obviously, we bring in some amazing wines. They come in, they're fresh off the boat, they aren't matured, they need to go in the market, and we kind of bring those wines to market. Taste of fresh young wines, here's the new stuff, what's it like, get people excited. But the idea is then we offer you the vehicle and space to go store your wines. You buy the wines, it's really effortless and painless to have the wines placed into a cellaring account. But our tasting and events, and I think that speaks to your answer in a certain way, do cover a wide range of elements. We try to do entertainment on one level, so there'll be a little bit of that. We make sure that we do working hard for our agencies, which is a kind of a marketing space. We have to bring Clemens Busch to the consumer, and Drapier, Jacquesson, Vina Tondonia. These are amazing wines. They are of the best wines in the world. And then we need to kind of educate, where we do, let's taste Syrah blind and see what Shiraz in South Africa and Syrah looks like versus some of the Northern Rhone counterparts. What does Chardonnay look like from the world? So it covers all those elements, but it's entertainment, marketing agencies, and then education.
Lovely. And do you find that people are seeing the benefit not only from the improvement of wine, but almost the investment side of aging a bottle of wine with you guys?
Investment side is it's a double-edged sword. Again, Wine Cellar's kind of starting point is really to solve your kind of fine wine conundrums, to put it in that kind of language. And there's a point where if you're a collector, you're a collector. Collector, apparently, I think it's something like 15% of all people in the world are inclined to be collectors. And if you're a collector, it means you want to have more of something usually that you can consume. So wine falls into that category. I mean, if you're a wine collector, if you're watching this, you understand there's a part of you that you want them. There's a love for this product and you want to engage. But at some of the stage you realize you've got 8,000 bottles of wine and there's no way you're going to drink them in your lifetime. So part of the investment angle is that there is value to wine. And if you buy investable wines or great wines, I would say that mostly if you just buy great wines, you're not going to lose money on it. But the other idea, if you focus a little bit on investment wines and you enjoy them, the magic is that you can kind of get to a point where some of that is paying for your drinking and your enjoyment in your collection. So we want to make sure that that area is covered, because that's something that's been well documented and done in the international market. It's currently, let's be honest, a little bit more tricky. The world economy is under pressure, wine is under pressure, but it's been a long journey and it's been really successful over time. And it's one of those that kind of outlasts downturns in the market space, etc., etc. And it comfortably sits within the world of alternative investments, i.e. art, cars, jewelry, furniture, those kind of elements. It's a beautiful thing, and the magic at the end of the day is that if you can't sell it and you don't want to sell it, you don't have to, because you can just enjoy it.
You've actually got my gears turning in my head, and I've got a question for you. What is a two-part question? What's the oldest wine in your personal collection, and maybe the oldest wine that you guys have stored at Wine Cellar?
Oldest wine that we have stored at Wine Cellar, off the top of my head, I know we've got some late 1800s Sauternes that are for sale. That's not in storage. Storage is obviously a little bit private, that's what customers have in there, but we've got some old 1800 Sauterne that's available for sale at the moment, so that's over 100 years old. Personally, I've got, what do I have? Yeah, probably wines from 70s, some South African wines from the 70s, but not much older than that. I was late to the collection game. I didn't inherit a cellar. And that brings me to a very important point. If you're young and you're watching this, buy the best wine you can, make sure you store it as properly as you can, and then one day you will have proper mature wines in your cellar. And don't start late, because wines need 10, 15 years sometimes, the greatest wines, anyway.
So is that your roadmap on how to start building a collection? Start
Yes.
now, start sooner rather than later.
Start sooner rather than later. Buy the best you can afford, and don't buy hype. Buy what you believe in. And then something does happen though, is that you will sometimes fall out of love with the style of wine. You start enjoying, say, Sauvignon Blanc style wines, but then get to a point where you realize that you actually prefer Chardonnay wines. That does happen, but try and figure out which kind of wines you like, and then buy the best in that class, do a bit of reading, and buy wines that can mature, because that's always a bit of a safeguard against, if you change your mind, you don't like the wines anymore, that there is space in the market for them.
Lovely, 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 lovely. And then I think, just to end off, if you could maybe paint us a picture, give us some advice on where do you think the South African wine industry can go? What would you like us to focus on? Not only from an ageability in our wines point of view, but where should we start, putting our money away in? What should we focus on?
I think we're in an incredibly fortunate position in South Africa for various reasons. The one is that we've never made better wine in the history of this country. Our great wines are truly spectacular and world class. I can't overestimate the fact that internationally highly regarded judges and critics and writers value and rate our wines very highly. I've met some of these, had chats with them. They're not crazy. They're not like blowing smoke. The likes of Neil Martin and Jancis Robinson, Tim Atkin, really get to the heart of our wines, and our white wines are spectacular. Our Cabernets have never been better. Our Syrahs are world class. Our Chardonnays are world class. You can go to war with these wines. Our Semillons are unique in the world. They're absolutely fantastic. We've got some classes that are, Chenin is probably unrivaled in the world. South African Chenin has no benchmark because they're not Loire style wines, they're not Loire wines. Our Cabernets are a unique style. I think, how many Cabernet regions are there in the world that are legit? Margaret River, Napa, Sonoma, Bordeaux, Bulgari. Stellenbosch is right there. It's one of those. And it really is marketing that's the next story, is to hammer this home so that people understand that this is Cabernet country when it comes to Stellenbosch. I've kind of segued a little bit, but I mentioned earlier that I think marketing is really the next part of the South African industry. Is important for us to tell the story and understand why we're in a good place. The other reason we're in a good place is because we offer value. Now, value is a very contentious word because it used to be that we just made cheap wines. I think that's not really the case anymore. Some of our best wines are really well priced. The wines are ironically still underpriced from a global point of view, but considering where the wine world is and where the eyes are in terms of what Bordeaux is doing and what's happening in Europe and low consumption and people that don't drink alcohol, you have the opportunity to present incredible quality at incredible value across the global stage. And if the marketing backs everything, you should get to a point where everybody goes like, South African wine's where it's at. And I'm talking about wines that are 300, 500,000, 2,000, 3,000 rand a bottle. We need to be in those kind of mid to top end spaces, or mid space. Top end space is quite a stratospheric area, but I think we have a great opportunity. I don't think we've ever been in a better place in terms of quality wines, possible market penetration, what we can do with it. I've tasted a lot of South African wines regularly. I went through a flight of 4 or 5 wines yesterday blind. Incredible, absolutely incredible.
That's really exciting to hear.
No, it's extraordinary, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, James. Is there anything that you would like to touch on? Is there anything in particular? I feel in our conversations you've nailed. I'm just left watching you tick off bits as we're going through. Is there anything that you felt we missed out that you'd like to add?
No, I think I've waffled on enough here. I really love wine. I think it's crucial that wine's communication and how it is portrayed, the storytelling, the engagement, and how it's brought to different cultures and different age groups and across kind of snobbery divides, price divides, but that the magic of wine is communicated and that the value of wine is understood, because wine is often seen as an expensive part of one's life. But the amazing thing about wine is that the value that it can bring, the storytelling, the artifice, the engagement is absolutely exceptional. And I'd challenge most people to bring me something else that man was involved that is this complex and this time transferable, this long living, and this changeable, ethereal, transcendental. It's an incredible thing. It's a moment in time, captured for many reasons, but then the ultimate capture is when the person has that one bottle that evening with amazing people. Wine is for people, with people, at the right time, telling a story from somewhere else in time.